hello to everybody. We are here in the Pontifical Institute of Medieval Studies in Toronto with Father Augustine Thompson, that is the director. He's the director of the Pontifical Institute. So many thanks for this interview. And we would know a little the history of the Pontifical Institute here in Toronto.
Okay, well, the first thing I would say is I have only been here 4 years. But the Institute has been around for a long time. We'll be celebrating in 2029 our 100th anniversary. Yeah. In 1929, we were founded by Etienne Gilson, the famous historian, philosopher, theologian, and it was a choice he made after bad experiences in American universities, where he had found that the quality of the Latin and historical preparation was insufficient. I will not name the major institutions where he had the opportunity of starting. And he came here to St. Michael's College, and he was well received by Father Henry Carr. And the two of them in 1929 established the Institute particularly to give training to those wanting to do research and doctoral level studies in medieval manuscripts and the technical disciplines. The Pontifical Institute became very famous for that, for the rigor of its programs. And we carry on that tradition today. I'll say for myself, I did my doctorate in the history department at the University of California at Berkeley back in the 1980s, and we were very jealous of the Pontifical Institute students for the quality of their training in codicology, paleontology, paleography rather, and so forth. 10 years later, we were approved for pontifical status to give ecclesiastical degrees, the doctorate, the license, and the master's, by the man we think of as the one who made us that way, Pope Pius XI, although he died before he signed the document, and so our official credential came from Pius XII. We had a full faculty giving those degrees until 1998, when the University of Toronto and the various constitutive colleges were reorganized. And at that time, those programs, the doctorate program and the master's, were moved to, basically they moved along with much of our faculty, to the Center for Medieval Studies, which continues to be the Center for Graduate Education here at the University of Toronto. The one college that has an undergraduate program in medieval studies is St. Michael's College, the University of St. Michael's College, and that program has been expanding, and I am told is one of the fastest growing majors in the college. Since 1998, we have done exclusively postdoctoral work. We offer one degree. I'll say a little bit more about that later. The license in medieval studies. It's a pontifical degree, and it is a postdoctoral license. Most licentiates are something like a little bit above a master's, below the doctorate. Ours is a program open to those who have already a doctorate, and it focuses on the kind of training that is typical of the Institute, the kind of technical things.
Beautiful. We have seen the classroom. The classroom also for paleography.
In fact, our paleography room, I'll say a little bit about the library. The paleography room is generally considered by those who have used it probably among the best in the world. It's been a centerpiece of our library, and I'll say something about that. I can affirm it,
for sure.
Now, academically, since 2005, we've been freestanding independent entity at, but not in, the University of Toronto, although we cooperate with St. Michael's College, the faculty of the university, especially in philosophy, history, and theology. So we're an integrated part, although academically, technically distinct. I thought I'd say something about our history. We have had a long history of distinguished fellows and scholars here. I'll run off the list. Jacques Maritain, the famous philosopher and theologian. He is sort of considered one of the co-founders, although not so much formally as Father Carr and Etienne Gilson. You might want to turn the camera around. The three of them appear in the stained glass windows of the room where...
down there. Yes, on the windows, yes.
There are our founders, all three of them.
The founders of the Pontifical Institute. They have the mission in order to increase the study of medieval studies here, in North America in particular, and in Canada.
And that was what we were intended to do, and we consider that to be our mission.
Because the mission is not only on paleography and codicology.
In fact, I am going to say something about that when I say something about what our faculty is involved in. Over the years, we've had any number of very distinguished people, especially in philosophy. I might mention, Jacques Maritain, and then Leonard Boyle, later the Bibliothecarius Vaticanus, the Vatican librarian, in whose honor our manuscript program is entitled and endowed. A fellow Dominican with me, along with him, the names I would mention would be Osmond Lurie, John Maribon, Joseph Owens, and Anton Pages. So there's been a long tradition. Today, this continues with our fellows, especially the incumbent of the Boyle Chair in Manuscript Studies, Michelle Mulcahy, known for her work on the early Dominican education, especially, and an editor. What are the divisions of the Institute? What do we do? There's the academic program, and I'll say more about that in a moment, but other than to say right now that we have 10 full fellows associated with the Institute, 10 associate fellows, and their areas are diverse of study. They include history, manuscript studies and editing, art history, both Western and Byzantine, philosophy, theology, literature, including Anglo-Saxon and Old English and Middle English.
Yeah, that's why the Germanic philologists are here in order to study as
and we have much cooperation with the editing of the dictionary of Old English. Our library, the library has something but over 400,000 volumes. It is at least in the Western Hemisphere, the largest single consolidated collection of modern scholarship and editions. We have never focused on the collection of manuscripts. We have 52, some as old as the 11th century and one as old as the 10th century. We just purchased a music manuscript, a Antiphonale of the Dominican order from the late 1200s. It's our first music manuscript. Beautiful. Those who come here, unlike most places where if you come and you want to see a manuscript, they say, oh, look at the microfilm. With us, these are teaching tools and they are used to hand in the classes on manuscript studies. So that's the focus of our collection.
It's very important to have also the students, to couch the manuscript, to have a contact
exactly,
with them.
And we don't make them, well, of course, they're not going to eat food around them, but we don't make them wear gloves, and they have full access. And a number of those who have come here in the programs I will explain have actually done their work. We had a fellow last year write an article on the music manuscript in preparation for publication. The library's collection, since it's consolidated in one place, it is non-circulating. There's plenty of carols to sit in, and we have a couple offices. Those are a little harder to find because they're usually in use. But we are open to any students, including undergraduates at the university. We are open to visiting scholars like yourself.
Thank you.
We are open also to any scholar who comes either with a credential showing that they're actually academic, or even students or independent scholars who can present some kind of letter of recommendation. And we are generous. We're happy to give them library cards for use of our library, and also facilitate the use of the rest of the collection here.
We have also a program at the Mellon Fellowship.
I'll now talk about the formal. Oh, before I say that, I have to mention, and I know the Director of Publications, Dr. Fred Umwala, would be very upset if I didn't mention that another part of us is the Publications Division. We have the press, the Pontifical Institute Press, and I've published books at 5 presses. This year I did a collection of essays with PIMS, and I will say that my treatment there and the amount of attention and feedback I received on that manuscript was far beyond anything I had received. I'll name names at Cornell, or at Penn State, or at Oxford, or at the Catholic University of America, to name a few presses that I've published.
But it's prestigious.
We are always looking for more manuscripts. It's a small press. We publish something. Our goal is to publish between 10 and 12 books a year. But if we had more submissions, we'd be happy to do that. Also, since the 1930s, we have also published the journal Medieval Studies. And there too, if you know people who are interested in publishing shorter edited texts or topically focused essays on something in medieval studies that focuses on the kind of things PIM has been known for, manuscripts and careful research, we're also looking for articles for medieval studies.
It's a very important journal. It's world known, really world known journal.
Yes, indeed. You had mentioned earlier that what about the academic programs? We have, I would call them 3 distinct academic programs, although in a way they overlap. The first is we have an endowed program which provides living and ultimately free tuition to 4 Mellon Research Fellows a year. The Mellon program is a year in residence here, where we provide them with a living, stipend, and tuition and access. We take 4 a year. That's what we have endowment for. And during that first year, the students in this program have to have a doctorate. It's a postdoctoral program.
Postdoctoral program.
And we draw people from the only continent we have never had an admitted fellow from is Antarctica. I think South America. Maybe we've never had South America, but we've had Asians, Europeans, North Americans from all over. They have come to work on an enormous diversity of areas of study. This last year we had 4 admitted, but one of them couldn't come because of an accident. The ones here, one worked on the Jungur in Toulouse and where they lived, and she worked did a lot of, I guess you could call it, human geography in the city, so it was a historical study. We had one who worked on demonology in the writings of Caesarius of Hesterbach, and finally one who worked on theology and material culture. She wrote on the developing changes in the theory of symbolism in elements used in the Eucharist in medieval liturgy, especially the cloths and various other paraphernalia. Really fascinating work.
Fascinating, really fascinating.
And she was from France. The one working on Caesarius of Hesterbach came from the Czech Republic. And finally the last was an American like me, who we're happy to say got the good news at the end of the year. She has a tenure track appointment at an American university.
I think that is a very good opportunity for PhD students.
We have a very good track record of placement. I can honestly say in the 3 years now, going on 4, I've been here, every student who has left the program has gone to a regular appointment or a postdoc, or at least a teaching position.
Yes, this is very important. It is medieval studies give work for these people, for a job.
Now, in the second year, I might mention that while they're here, each of the Mellons gives a paper to all of the fellows and all of the medievalists at the university who want to come. Usually there's between 20 and 45 or 50 in this room, the Shook Common Room, which is set up for the lecture, and they speak about what they intend to do and receive input. They have a reader and an advisor and a reader from us or from other parts of the university who are specialized in what they're doing. And under that guidance, they do full-time research for the year and then present where they have brought their work to for the similar kind of feedback for a seminar. So there are normally there are 8 Mellon seminars a year. We have also had seminars from our visiting scholars. Last year we had 2 wonderful presentations by our Bennett scholar. That's a senior appointment for 1 semester, and that was Margot Fassler at the University of Notre Dame, who came with her husband Peter Jeffrey, the famous Gregorian chants. Both of them presented seminars, and then we had a sabbatical professor, actually a Dominican of my California province, the retiring dean of our faculty, and he came here to study Thomas Aquinas' eschatology and presented on that. So we are open to yes. If you were here during the year, we would make sure you would have something to say to us.
Semester,
normally although we're not strict about the time frame, the normal Mellon would then in the second year would not have to be here, and we don't fund the second year, but that's the year in which they're expected to turn their research into a publishable article or a publishable chapter of a book, and when it is evaluated by our board as publishable, this is before even application, then after a consultation of the faculty, they can be awarded, if they have chosen to do so, the other program, which is the license.
That is important. That is first year is a sort of training with fellows that suggest things, ideas, and the second one is a sort of application and a publication of what they have studied the first year.
In fact, that project, I guess you could call it something like a tesina, but it's that is the thesis of the program for the license. In theory, a Mellon could come here, do the 2 years, do their research and writing, and not take the license program. They don't, but everyone that has come through has enrolled in it. It has the benefit, for example, I had a problem. For many years, I could not teach at a Roman university, including the Dominican one. Yes, because all of my degrees are secular. The theological degree I had was not a pontifical degree, my doctorate, and finally I was given a pontifical degree now about 12 years ago, and finally I could teach in a pontifical faculty. So the students who come here who do the license, I don't think probably only a small handful come with an ecclesiastical title. This gives them the credentialing to teach and we have had some of them teach in Roman universities, for example. So, also, along with that program, and I think this is one of our jewels, is we have the Boyle program in manuscript studies. It is the equivalent of 2 years of study, but it is done in the summer, 2 summers. During those summers, 1 summer is done here in Toronto, taking advantage of our resources, and the next year is done normally in Rome is where it has been, and taking advantage of the Vatican collections and so forth. One of our fellows is a assistente in the Vatican Library, Stephen Metzger. So we have a direct input there. This program includes 4 courses. There's a course in paleography, a course in codicology, a course in text editing, and then a rotating topics course. For example, last year it was on the manuscripts associated with Pope John the 22nd.
Yeah.
In particular, his commissioned first opera omnia of Thomas Aquinas with all of his marginal glosses. So they looked at, which I actually sat in on that one last year, and it was quite fascinating to see how the manuscript studies have changed the usual images of him as sort of a cranky canon lawyer. And in fact, it's clear that his work was carefully, he wrote massive commentaries in the margins on the theological things in Thomas, and I think it played a role in his changing of his mind on the beatific vision.
Yes.
Okay, so that program also, we give a living for both summers, and it's free tuition. We take 6 students a year. It's a 2-year program, so it's 2 cadres of 12.
Is this a postdoctoral, this program?
We have had doctoral students in it as well.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever had an undergraduate. The competition for this, like the Mellons, is fairly steep. I will give you some examples. One of the students who did the program is currently, and at the time he came, he was the general director of all the museums in St. Petersburg, Russia. We had a full professor of a well-known Northeastern American university in classics who came because he had never been trained to edit texts. So it's been some very senior people have done the program. Younger faculty are probably the most common, those who discover that they have a need that was not fulfilled. I'll be honest that I do manuscript work myself, but I ended up having to teach myself to do it, sitting in the Sala di Consultazione at the Biblioteca Nazionale in Florence. And I learned very quickly I couldn't trust the provenance and dating of the manuscripts I was being given, and I thought that this would have been so much easier if I'd gone to PIMS. But
important was the program that is one here, and the other one is Rome. So in order to have not only to work on the manuscript on the internet, but also the material manuscripts.
In fact, that is this program is Michel Moquet. He is the Boyle professor who runs the program. If I know anyone who is fierce about the only way to do manuscript studies is to have the manuscripts in your hand and look at them and also measure them, examine the way the stitching are. We're all old-fashioned here. Microfilm and digital images have still not replaced the actual artifacts.
A very last question about the visiting scholars here. We are visiting scholars.
Yes, as yourself. One of the things I consider among the most important works of the Institute is to put our human and library resources into the hands of scholars and those doing research. Some people have come here. For example, I mentioned the former dean of our seminary in California. He was here for a whole year. That's possible. Margot Fassler, for example, was here with the Bennett program, which is also endowed, although that one you don't apply to. We find you for a semester. We've had others here for a semester, and then there are those who come for shorter periods. And what do they get? They get access to the library. They get access to our human resources, our faculty, and especially during the school year, they're invited to all the functions here, including the social ones. So we have no fellowships, but if someone is on sabbatical or someone is doing research, like a doctoral student, who feels that we would be a place that we would, all they need to do is apply to us. We'll have a consultation and decide that they're a bona fide scholar. They come here, they get library privileges, and during the year, they have always partaken with the whole Mellon program, seminars, and all the other things, including the social.
I think it's a real privilege to work here, to study here. A real privilege.
Okay, now I will do something that's embarrassing. For other institutions. In the time I've been here, we have had visiting scholars, one from Oxford and one from Notre Dame. And those are pretty distinguished places for doing medieval studies. And both of them, in their letters to me, wrote and said how much easier it was to do research here
Yes.
than at Oxford and at Notre Dame.
I can confirm. I can confirm.
So,
For sure.
I personally consider making our resources accessible to scholars around the world as visitors. That I put that up along with the manuscript program and the postdoctoral program of the Mellons.
Yeah. Thank
Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think that we have discussed and explained everything here. A last thing, if you can explain something about this beautiful room. Also from an architectural point of view, it was thing that you said to us when we came here.
Okay, when this building was built in 1939, this was the Sala di Consultazione.
Yeah.
It was the consultation room, the reading room of the library. The library of the Institute is now in the Kelly Library, which is down across the street, the whole fourth floor. So this is no longer that consultation room. This is the room where we hold our seminars, our social events, our lectures. We reconfigure it. The room is probably best known for its spiral staircase.
Yes, it is a very beautiful room. Yeah.
And its balcony.
And hall.
Those embellishments were specifically requested by Etienne Gilson himself, since he had lived in a house here that had a spiral staircase.
Yes.
I can honestly say about this room that it is the most coveted meeting space at the University of Toronto.
Yes, yeah.
For its flexibility and also for its elegance.
Yes, it's a beautiful place. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot.
It's been a great pleasure, and
It's a pleasure for us. Thank you. Thank you.